Hello friends, my name is Heather. Welcome back to Brilliant Blue Reviews, and in today's video I'm going to give you my review of another movie you may not have heard of, and that movie is Conclave, which I just got home from seeing. I went by myself. Oh my gosh, this movie was so good. Now, first of all, I've got to tell you that this movie is not for everyone. It's definitely not. It's only rated PG. So you might think, I can take the family. Don't take the family, okay? Kids are going to be completely lost. This is a movie that is best for adults, preferably intelligent, well-educated adults, okay? Who also probably have a fairly good global perspective, but so well done. I wouldn't be surprised if it's nominated for and or wins some Oscars or Golden Globes. It's a very simple concept, but what an intense drama, and oh my gosh, what a twist at the end. The very end of the movie has a huge twist, which obviously, this being a spoiler-free review, I am not going to tell you, and hopefully nobody else who goes to the movie before you get a chance to see it doesn't tell you either, because they'll ruin it. Because even to tell you what the twist is would not have the power of experiencing the twist, okay? It was really good. Okay, first of all, this is a movie set in Vatican City at the Vatican. I did stay all the way through the credits like I always do. I do that for my own interest, but also for you guys, so I have all the information available to me. And if you don't know this, at the end of the movie or somewhere near the end of the credits, you're usually going to be able to see where they filmed the movie, which in some cases is multiple locations. But it did say that it was filmed at a combination of on location in Sicily, which is an island off the coast of Italy, so not Vatican City, and at some studios in Italy. So it was filmed on location, but not, I don't think the Vatican would have given them permission to film this movie inside the Vatican. But anyway, that's where it takes place, is in the Vatican. The Vatican City, if you don't know, Vatican City is the smallest independent nation on the planet. It's very small. It is completely surrounded by the city of Rome, and that is where the Roman Catholic Church headquarters is, and where the Pope lives, and cardinals, and not all the cardinals as they show in this movie. The Pope and his closest staff. And apparently a lot of Catholic sisters, nuns, live there too. I will tell you right off the bat that a significant portion of the movie, when people are speaking, is in Italian, also Spanish. Io parlo italiano, io hablo español. Because I can speak fairly decent both Spanish and Italian, I actually didn't need to look at the subtitles when they were speaking Italian and when they were speaking Spanish. Now, interestingly, they don't have subtitles for everything that they say in mainly Italian. So some of it you have to kind of get the gist. But I could understand the vast majority of what they were saying when someone was speaking Italian or Spanish. But there are subtitles for the key stuff that you would definitely need to know. The cast is really good. It's an ensemble cast, but the main actors that you would need to know are Ralph Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, and Isabella Rossellini, who I haven't seen her in quite a while. I've never seen Isabella Rossellini looking as angry as she did in this movie, but she played her part very well. Okay, Ralph Fiennes. Ralph Fiennes is basically the main character around whom everything kind of centers, and I have been in love with Ralph Fiennes for many, many years, long before he played Voldemort in the Harry Potter movies, okay? If you are old enough to remember Ralph Fiennes when he was hot stuff before he was Voldemort, you'll know what I'm talking about. I was in love with Ralph Fiennes when he was in The English Patient and The End of the Affair. Those movies. Love those movies, okay? Yeah, I was crazy about Ralph Fiennes. So that's how I remember him. I'm really glad that he is once again getting good roles after the Harry Potter series, because he definitely should not only be known for being a noseless evil wizard. So now this, and prior to this, they gave him the role of M in the last couple of James Bond movies that had Daniel Craig. So anyway, Ralph Fiennes does a phenomenal job in this movie. Two other things I want to say about the movie before I talk about the story itself. One is the cinematography and just the visuals of the movie are absolutely brilliant and stunning. It's a very, well, it is and it isn't. It seems like a very slow-paced movie, but it's actually not. It actually moves quite fast, but every once in a while they would slow it down with just visual imagery. And it was really well done, just absolutely beautiful. There was this one little clip right near the end where the cardinals are all walking and they've got on their red and they're walking on white stone and they have white umbrellas. And it was just visually amazing. I mean, just some really, really quality cinematography in this movie. And also kudos to the costuming and the makeup artists on this movie because they did an absolutely amazing job. Okay, then the other thing I want to say about is the music is really well done and a serious addition, very important for setting the tone of the film. I looked at the end and it was the London Contemporary Orchestra and the Budapest something orchestra, artistic orchestra or something like that. So I did notice a lot of the crew was Hungarian, a lot of Hungarian names in the ending credits. So I don't know if there was something with Hungary helping to make the film or whatever, but the fact that there was Budapest orchestra and a lot of Hungarian people on the crew. But the music is absolutely really good. I mean, it's really well done. It reminded me of the early seasons of the TV show Elementary with Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu, which is my favorite version of Sherlock Holmes, by the way. I really like that show. And in the early seasons of that show, they had a very judicious use of cello. And my son played the cello for 6 years, 7 years. I love the cello. And they would do a particularly significant cello solo at like the turning point of each episode. And it was a really cool way to do music. And this film's music reminds me of that. A lot of really powerful strings. If you go to a lot of orchestra concerts or you've heard a lot of orchestra or you listen to a lot of classical music where the strings are really like the heart of it, you'll know what I'm talking about. The string music and the orchestra music in this movie was really powerful and really well done. Okay, all of that aside, so that was everything about like what made this just a great film overall. Amazing cast, fantastic scenery, great cinematography, makeup, costumes, music, all of that, really, really good. Very simple premise, like I said. The Pope, who, if you don't know, is the head of the Roman Catholic Church. There's also Eastern Orthodox. The Catholic Church, if you will, the early Christian church, little history lesson for you here, split way back when. And there's Eastern Orthodox, which is like, Greek and Eastern Europe, okay? And then the Roman Catholic Church, which is what we would probably be most familiar with in the majority of the United States, okay? Now, I do need to tell you, I had some advantages going into this movie. And if you have any of these kind of things like I had, you're definitely going to get more out of it and have an easier time understanding what's happening. I grew up in a town that was pretty predominantly Catholic and Lutheran. I grew up, and my dad still lives in a house 1 block from the biggest Catholic church in town. Everybody like I knew growing up that didn't go to a Protestant church like I did went to the Catholic churches. There's actually 3 big Catholic churches in the town where we live. Kids would go to CCD on Wednesdays, and because a lot of my friends were Catholic, and it was taken pretty seriously back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. It was a big deal in people's lives. I learned a lot about what it meant to be Catholic. Even though I'm not Catholic myself, I learned a lot about the Catholic Church and what's involved and how it works and all of that. My oldest son went to a private Catholic university. It's not, like you don't have to be Catholic to go there. It's not like shoved in your face that it's Catholic. My other son actually attended a private Catholic high school in our town just for a little while. Okay, so we know kind of how the Catholic Church and Catholic education and all that stuff works. My oldest son also did a study abroad in Italy, and he went to the Vatican, okay, into Vatican City. So he has that experience under his belt. Another interesting thing is that after my son graduated from college, the second job he had after he finished college, but before he actually started law school, was he worked at a big law firm in the Twin Cities. And one of the things they're most known for is suing the Catholic Church for the sexual abuse of children that happened, all over the place in the Catholic Church, which you've probably heard about in the news, or if you saw the movie Spotlight, that talks all about it and everything. So he was involved in, those cases that successfully brought suits against the Catholic Church for these things. That is mentioned in this movie, just briefly. All of that would help you if you have an understanding of the Catholic Church, how Catholicism works, how they choose a new pope when the pope dies or resigns, a little bit of the order of the level of the priests, if you will, within the leadership of the Catholic Church, especially in Vatican City. Then I would say what I said kind of at the beginning, like an understanding of the history of the Catholic Church, but also of the goings on in the world. So you have to have kind of a pretty good understanding of global current events, politics, all of that kind of stuff, because it's all kind of in there in this movie. What I kind of mean by that is, first of all, when a pope dies or resigns and they have to choose a new pope, all of the cardinals from all over the globe come to Vatican City to elect a new pope. So that's what's happening in this movie. The Pope has died. He dies right at the beginning of the movie. And they have to have a conclave, which is when all of the cardinals from all over the world meet together in Vatican City, and they are sequestered. So they're completely cut off from everything. They take their phones away. They show that. They take their phones and they close all the windows so they can't even see outside or anything. And they have to stay there in this sequestered state until they have selected a new pope. And you may have seen like how at the end of each day of voting, they'll send up black smoke if they haven't chosen somebody new, and then they finally send up white smoke when they have chosen someone new, and they show all that in this movie. Now in the movie, it takes 5 or 6 days of voting before they select someone. It can be a lot quicker than that, but it can also take a lot longer than that. It's been different every time they've had to elect a new pope. They definitely point out that in this situation in this movie that they could be stuck there for weeks and weeks because of the way that it's going. Because the cardinals come from all over the world, they are a mix of races and language and ethnicity and everything. So one of the things that's really interesting in this movie is it looks like they might be going to elect the first ever African pope. So the first ever black pope, which would be a really big deal. They've never had a black pope. So it looks like that's kind of how it's going. And then there's just such a mix of people at this conclave, British, Americans, Europeans, South Americans, Eastern Europeans, Africans, Asians from all over the globe. And they interestingly talk about how even though we're supposed to be this whole big, mix and it's great and everything, we have this diversity, when they have their meals, they still all sit together in little groups. So, and they talk about that, how it's kind of laughable, how we talk about, oh, we're this global community or whatever. But then all of the French people sit together and all of the, African people sit together and all stuff like that. So it's an interesting sociological glimpse. And then the other thing I guess that you would need to be aware of is some of the events that are happening in the world. It's set like in the modern day. It's fiction. It's not reflective of any actual papal election. It's kind of maybe this is what would happen next time. It just definitely helps to have a global perspective and to be aware of current events, not only here in the United States, but all over the planet, because that'll definitely help you and help you have a better understanding of what they're talking about. The basic plot is just that they are having this conclave and they have to elect a new pope. But oh my gosh, I can't believe how much drama and intrigue and mystery. It was so compelling. I mean, I was literally, we're in the recliners at the movie theater, but near the end, I actually put my footrest down and was literally at the edge of my seat because it was so exciting and interesting. And you just didn't know how this was going to go. And every day of voting would be a whole new set of stuff happening. And it was just crazy. And it was really, really well acted and very intriguing and thoughtful. And I really liked it. And then at the end, like I said, there was such a twist. There were only 7 of us in the theater. It was 6 of us women and 1 man. And they were all my age or older. But we were all like, oh, we just all like audibly gasped at the very end when this twist. And the one gentleman was sitting, just 2 seats away from me. And he goes, oh my gosh, what a twist. It was wild. It was something none of us expected. And it was really amazing how they had it go. I mean, it was really good. Very well written. I can't really tell you much more than that. And obviously, I'm very excited by this movie. I thought it was really good. I think that my oldest son, the one I talked about, who's an attorney and who, has been to the Vatican and studied in Italy and all of that, and, has experience with the Catholic Church, I think he would think it was just as cool as I do. I think my daughter would find it very interesting. She's a psychology major and she'd be examining like everyone's motives and stuff. But I think my son, who's still in high school, I think he might think it's a little bit interesting, but he also might be bored just because of the pacing of it. But he also probably would have so many questions that he'd either have to be whispering to me constantly, asking me questions during the movie, or I'd have to like explain everything afterwards, which would make it less effective. Or I'd have to give him like a little quick master class in how they elect a new pope and all of that beforehand for him to understand it. So you definitely do need to have some understanding of the things, like I said. You need to have some understanding of the Catholic Church, how they go about electing a new pontiff, world current events, history. If you speak Italian, super bonus, because it's definitely going to help you. But don't be afraid of that, because there are subtitles for most of the times that they're speaking Italian. I would give this movie a 5 out of 5. It was very well done. I was very impressed. I went into it with really no expectations whatsoever, and I really enjoyed it. So I highly recommend Conclave, but only to certain audiences like I talked about in this video. Please don't give away the twist, because again, even if you tell someone what the twist is, it's not going to have the power just to hear it as it is to experience it the way they reveal it in the movie. It's so much more powerful that way. I mean, like if I went out and told my son right now what the twist was, he'd be like, oh, okay, but you got to see it. So Conclave in theaters now, 5 out of 5 from me. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Hope you're all having a great day, and I'll see you next time.